Greetings everyone, welcome to Chess Advanced, and this is one epic saga that we are covering here, Arjun Erigaisi's Olympiad run, where he scored spectacular chess, got an individual gold as well, helped India in many of the crucial rounds, and now he's facing Iceland's really strong grandmaster. He's facing Hannes Stefansson, and this is going to be one epic match, and there's a rating gap here between the players of 300 rated points, so it's going to be a very epic matchup here, and Arjun with the white pieces starts with d4. We have knight to f6, knight to f3, e6, bishop to f4 going for the London system. We have d5 now, e3, bishop to d6, and bishop and just going for this knight to e5 castles now, bishop to d3 and c5, immediately striking in the center, but just going for c3, a very calm move, saying that if you want to advance those pawns, well, be my guest. But hey, just b6, not going for any of that. Knight to d2, bishop to a6, and finally going for the straight bishop captures, knight captures, and that knight on the rim is not going to be a good piece for the rest of the game, and that's the idea here. h4 is a beautiful move in this position by Arjun, saying that I'm going to be ready for starting an attack against your king, and this is going to be one amazing game for me. Here just queen to c7, just developing as usual, but just h5 now, and that pawn is looking very dangerous. I mean, do you just want to play a move like that and maybe make your king a little bit weak here? But just knight to e4, saying that if you want to go for h6, well, go ahead. Here just knight captures, d captures, queen to g4 now, and definitely that will be a threat here in the future. But here just going for c captures, not worrying about anything else. E captures, and here just rook a to e8. And the thing is that in this position, h6 even works here. You could go for h6, but after g6, the thing is that now you play rook to d1, f5 works in this position, queen to g3, and bishop captures. Definitely you're attacking the queen, so queen needs to move. But here after queen to c4, defending everything, now you first play this. Now only now, once the rook jumps here to rook to f7, now you play bishop to e5 again, and now you can see that somewhere along the line, this bishop on the central square is going to be very useful against that knight on h6. So that's why here Arjun's position is absolutely amazing. But here after rook a to e8, he simply goes rook to d1 and just doesn't go for the trouble of playing h6 just yet, but he will be keeping in mind that in the future. But here just knight to c5 now, and the thing is that you don't want to trade that because hey, your own knight would be hanging. So in this position, hey, just going for queen to g3 now, defending against it. Now you can capture, but now just comes f6, d captures first, and now f captures. And in this thing, even here after c captures, now you could still go for a captures, and you could just call it a night, saying that nice capture first, maybe just I'm not coming out on top here in this. But here just bishop to e3, and after bishop to e7, h6 in position is going to be absolutely fine. After you play g6, just castles, rook to a8, attacking those pawns, but just a3, and after that you just play rook to f5, and after queen to g4, queen to c6, most likely this game would, well, very much go in Arjun's favor, but still there would be some chances for black to try and consolidate with all those rooks and queens being a little bit active. But here after c captures, here I mean Hans just makes a really bad blunder. He goes for e captures on f4, and e captures on f4 just doesn't work in this position, because now you have a very nice move which Arjun goes for. He goes for b captures on c7, just grabbing the queen. F captures, and here in this position, Hans thought that his position was absolutely amazing, that he might have some chances, but that is not the case. Here rook captures on d6, g captures on f2 would have been played, and it seems like that's a really strong pawn. How are you going to stop it? But just king to e2, and you have nothing in this position because that last pawn is a bit too strong. Here rook to e7, just trying to go after it, but now just comes rook to c6, going to push it now. But here just rook to c8, but just king captures on f2, rook captures, and it feels like you have something, but you have to understand with this pawns you have a doubled e pawn, and these connected pass pawns are going to be much stronger. Here just king to e3, rook to d7, and in this position you couldn't even go for a move like king to f7, but I don't think it matters that very much, because here after rook to h4 you play g6, after h6 rook to c5, rook captures on e4, rook to a5, and just a4. And I mean those pawns are pushing. Here you have 3 against 1 here on the queen side, and that's going to be just very bad. And once those pawns gets rolling, I mean it's going to be very difficult to hold this position, and I think Hans knows this as well, because here after king to e3, just rook to d7 was tried, but now just comes a4, rook to d3 check, king caps on e4, and just going for this rook to d2, b4 now. But here rook caps on g2, finally grabbing one of those pawns, but you are not in time to push those pawns. Here just rook to d1, rook to g3, rook to d3, and finally going for rook caps on d3, finally trading it and saying that I may be able to hold this, but yeah, it's not gonna happen in a million years. Here the thing is that here in this position, all I have to do is push those pawns, and there is nothing black can do about it. The king is so far away. This pawn is just basically helpless. You cannot even push this, you cannot even push that. I mean it's just a horrible position, a horrible endgame to have, and there is no point in continuing this. But opponent still goes on for a few more moves. Here he plays king to f7, but just king to e4, g5, now just goes h captures. Arjun going for the en passant. Here just h captures, now comes b5, but just king to e7, king to e5, and now g5 was tried, but just c4. There is no hope in this position. King to d7, c5. Now just a5 was played, but just b caps on a6 on passant, and it was on this move, on just move 38, that Arjun Erigaisi was able to beat Hannes Stefansson in just 38 moves, crushing him absolutely. He had the advantage right from the opening to the middle game. I mean, just on top of everything. His pieces were more developed. He had a very nice attacking game. He got the queen on g4. He had a pawn on h6. He had so many chances to be able to win the game, to push h6, get those pieces activated, just go, link them all and go for an attack. But instead he chooses to go for the simplest way possible, and the simplest way was here, going into this endgame, and where he was able to absolutely just crush Hannes Stefansson. And with that, he gave India a very crucial point against Iceland, and definitely played spectacular game. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll be coming back with games like these, so stay tuned to the channel, stay updated, and I'll be seeing you guys very soon. Thank you very much for watching.